Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Law Live. My next guest is both a legal juggernaut and previously a finance juggernaut working at 3 out of the big 4 banks, 15 years in law, and here to come and talk to us about life in the 100-acre courthouse. And we'll talk more about what that means. Please make very welcome my dear friend Shifalika Peters. How are you, Shifa?
I'm good. Thanks, Cullen. Thank you for having me as well.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And I thought there'd be a lot of people out there that would get value from what you have to say, not only from your experience, but now from your new firm at Jurist Capital. I would welcome, it's 12:23 here in Sydney. Please, this is live. This is happening now. Put your questions in and make sure if you've got anything you want to ask Shifa, put it in the show notes and the comments, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we'll answer them live. And if it's anything more personable or work related, I'm sure Shifa would welcome a cheeky DM as well. So there you go. What is happening in your world, Shifa? What's happening?
Well, I opened Jurist Capital about a bit over a year ago. It used to be Peters Law and Mediation, but I never really made it active as such. And I decided to go all out and try and see what it is like having your own business, having your own law firm, having your own service offering for my clients. So
Yes.
Jurist out because every name that I tried out there was taken, and then I just suddenly realized, hang on, research with copyrights and patents and all sorts of things, and apparently there's a university in America that has a school paper called the Jurist, but other than that there are no legal firms with jurist to them, which is interesting. So I thought, right, I'll do Jurist Capital because at the time I'm into financial law, corporate law, credit law, compliance, regulatory work, things like that. And so it just made sense to have Jurist Capital as my firm name. And those are the areas that I work in as well, mainly from remediation in the wealth space for banking to everything else. And also I realized that I can also service family law area. So we do family law, mediation, FDRP, collaborative law, and then everything else that is to do with corporate law as well.
I love that. Maybe that's a nice segue. Why have we called this show the 100-acre courthouse?
Well, as many of us may or may not be aware, you've had a baby and I have a little girl. So Winnie the Pooh features quite a bit, or has featured quite a bit in our conversations. And I just realized, while I love Shakespeare and how he says all the world's a stage, often that's what I've felt whenever I've gone into a court, whether it's, a Supreme Court or local court or anything in between. And, or even a mediation for that matter, or arbitration, anything. And I thought, and then suddenly my worldview changed because I realized it was more like the 100-acre wood and the characters in Winnie the Pooh, which are meant to represent different challenges that people might face. And I thought, this sounds more interesting. So if I did, it would have to be a 100-acre courthouse.
I love that. I love that concept. And it covers the gamut. And we were also talking in terms of you love books. And usually I ask my guests if they would describe their life using film titles, what would it be? How would you describe your life using book titles, Shifa?
Oh my goodness, Cullen. If I could just pick one book, it would, seriously, I would give you $1 million. Not sure how I would borrow it from you from legal home loans and give it to you. But because you are so great. But the last book that I really liked was which actually got turned into a movie with Will Smith, was Pursuit of Happiness. And then of course, it's just so, just the grit of the character is so inspiring in that. And The Power of One is another book that I really like, that I keep coming back to. And this is going to sound it's going to give you an insight in probably a lot of people don't have. But I do like the top 2 books that in a professional context at least, that I keep going back to is The 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, Robert R. Greene. What a book. What a book.
That's right. And The Art of War. But I got an edition when I was at university. It's 20 years ago. That I've kept to this day. It's been well thumbed, so it's a little bit oldish, and it was old to begin with because I got it at a Sydney Uni secondhand bookstall things that used to be outside Wentworth, and it's called the Art of War, Sun Tzu's Art of War for Women, and it's a thing that
I've never heard of this. Okay.
And I often refer back to it, and I'm thinking, and I'm already planning to introduce my daughter when she's an 18-year-old to it.
Well, I'm putting it on here. Be sure to get on this great read from this powerhouse, Sun Tzu's The Art of War for Women. I'm sure it's available at most bookstores. That's a great recommendation. And one of my favorite theories of Sun Tzu from that book is, I think Tao Tao, one of the general, used it: slow, slow, quick, quick. So often we get into things and we want to just, dive ahead. Let's get it done. But what happens is we maybe get into things too quickly, don't think about it, and we have to do double the work because we were too hasty. And Sun Tzu talks about slow, slow, quick, quick. Go slow to go fast. Take a bit of time, plan your strategy. Think out what you're going to do, and then when you're ready to go, implement it as quickly as possible so no one knows what hit them. I love that strategy, and it's a good recommendation there, Shifa.
Usually it gets into Art of War, but this one I was intrigued when I saw it for women, and I've still got it, and it's interesting, an adapted version. So an author in America has done it, but it's pretty good, and it's much thinner than the actual Art of War, so that makes it easy.
That's really good. That's really good. So definitely get on that book. What is it like to be a law firm principal and to be able to make that decision? Because there's lots of people tuning into the show now that are maybe in big law or thinking about stepping out on their own, and they just need that little extra push.
So I worked with a large medium law firm for a long time, for 7-8 years, as you know. Go to court now, Armstrong Legal, and now recently has been announced by Michelle Michaela, one of the principals, that it's been merged with Taylor Rose in the UK. And I had a fantastic relationship with them. I still do, because I still consult with them as a consultant solicitor. And I don't know, I just wanted a new challenge, and I spoke to them about it. And of course, they're always very encouraging. So they said, yep, go on and try it. And I wanted to see what it would be like. One of the pros of going on your own as a sole practitioner is the freedom to pick and choose your timings, the way you do your work, your technology, your software, what's easy for you, what isn't for you, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and how you tailor that around your lifestyle. So that really resonated with me. Of course, there are cons to it. There's always at the back of your head, there's always that, I wouldn't say anxiety necessarily, but on the back burner of your head is, what next? How do I get the next milestone? How do I challenge myself? How do I meet the challenge when it does come along? Am I giving my best to this venture? Am I delivering to my standards? And my standards, as you know, are pretty high. Am I doing justice to each and every client? Because as far as I'm concerned, whether you're a single mom and dad, like I did a parenting plan last week for a client, and very straightforward, very simple, sat down, did an hour consultation with them, asked them what they wanted, so on and so forth. So an informal thing, but also formal with them, because I took them through what that means. And I thought, well, this is a simple mom and dad, but I came away feeling that I had given them the exact same attention and care that I would give to, last year I was helping out with a big multinational venture capitalist firm with their regulatory work, and from the UK. And, and I thought, well, I've given them the same care. And I came out of this, just reflecting on the weekend, that I really, really didn't have anything to complain to myself about. So that's the satisfaction I think you can have when you're working for a big firm. And I have worked for big firms. You don't have where's the next dollar coming from? So you don't have that anxiety. That's left to the directors and the big wigs over there, the principals of that law firm. But you're still bringing in clients. But that level of personal connect might be a little less removed. So that's actually the reality of it. A lot of people may or may not talk about it, or they may sugarcoat it, but that's actually the reality. So yeah.
Good points. This is the forum to call out things like that, and thank you for shining a spotlight on it. Is there anything else you wanted to add there for anyone tuning in?
If you are thinking of going out on your own, don't be careful not to isolate yourself, because I did that. And I was so focused on getting everything done. I forgot, as you mentioned, the law earlier, Sun Tzu's, to go slower. And I was running, and I wanted to achieve this, that, and the other. All my goals, tick, tick, tick. And I ended up isolating myself a little bit from my colleagues, ex-colleagues or colleagues, from people I looked up to, my mentors. And slowly, it's taken me about the last 7-8 months to realize that, there are people out there willing to lend a hand, willing to support you, willing to encourage you. Top 5 examples, one of them being you, Colin. If you just reach out and talk to them, we often tend to think, oh, we're judging ourselves, so people will judge us. No one will judge you. You just have to make a call, pick up that phone. I ran into Brett McGrath, and the other day at the MacArthur Law Society, he was presenting and speaking there, and I was just blown away at how good it felt to see him after so long. And he was as warm and informative as ever. And it just made me realize, don't isolate yourself. Just because you've taken out to be a sole practitioner and you want to do, everything that you want to achieve, don't forget the people around you. So
good point. Good. That's a very good point. Be nice to the people on the way up, because you'll be seeing them on the way down. My old mentor told me once upon a time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like to think I've always been nice. My fault is in not being able to ask for help. And that's something that you have to learn. You know how to do that.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you're getting some great engagement. You're making an impact already. We've got Sam Su saying, great share, superstar. I'm sure he's mean Schiffer in there as well. And Katie Koo, one of my dear friends, who is a financial planner at NAB, asset protection specialist. Katie Koo says, congrats, Schiffer. Great connection you have there. Always showcasing talent and professional expertise. So there you go.
Alan, seriously, if you haven't had her on the show, have her on the show. We worked intimately together when we were at NAB. She is amazing. She will go in, she'll analyze, and she can turn any situation around. She's amazing. I
know she's a powerhouse. If you're listening, Katie, we're going to have you on Lawyer Lending Live. That's the invite right now.
And Katie, you know me, so just text me, okay? I may not have, whenever you're appearing, just text
me. Some support there. Definitely. If you're not connected with Katie Koo, please remediate that now and get on LinkedIn and do so, everyone. All right, this is a fun question. If you were on a desert island, what 3 things would you bring with you?
Well, definitely like a big casket, one of those pirate treasure caskets of books, or maybe a magic.
That's clever.
Okay. I do like my luxuries, so a few modern necessities, and this is hard. I can't live without my child, but then she would be all lonely. Oh. Can I lump them all together and say my daughter and her friends and families?
Yeah. Oh, look, there's no rules, so why not? Say yes, is my opinion. There you go. Do it. Bring them along. So you got your daughter, friends and family, and the casket of books. So there you go there, Schiffer. Great answer. Any passion projects that you're working on now that you want to share?
Well, I've just actually finished a passion project. My brother John Peters, another powerhouse in the compliance and he's a delivery specialist. Another power. He's like amazing. He designed a logo for my firm, and I wanted my logo to reflect not just my values, but the values I wanted to convey to my colleagues, to my clients, and anyone else who came in contact with my firm, Jurist Capital. So we, I won't say we plagiarized, but we took our inspiration from Ashoka's Four Lions. King Ashoka, who was an ancient, massive, like, king of India, kind of like on the same level as Alexander the Great kind of thing. And
he has... Shout out to King Ashoka.
Pardon?
Shout out to the king there. He doesn't get enough praise.
Oh, look, he's been dead for centuries. But he did have these lines that looked in four directions, representing integrity, trust, so on and so forth. And so, exactly. And also the thing was that you're facing in four directions. So you're trying to look at every angle of a strategy.
I like that.
It plagiarized it in the sense that I got inspiration from it. And I got my brother, who's also very artistic, as well as amazing. I mean, he's the genius, got everything. And he made me. And I told him, I said, usually it's very hard to find the fourth lion, because everything is 2D on the internet when you try and research it. So you're only looking at east, west, north, or whatever it is. And you're not
facing...
have the
four sides. Yes.
Do it in a way that it's three-dimensional, where you can at least see the back of the fourth lion's head. And he did that. And we worked with my logo designer from in fine print, plus the web developer from Get Milk. And we worked on it back and forth. And then we, decided on the color schemes and everything. And I wanted blue and orange. And then I said, oh my God, I don't want orange like the Hermes orange, because I don't want to be They go, hang on a second, this is our color scheme. So
you don't want to be sued from the Hermes brand. No.
Exactly. Had to tweak it and change the shades and this and that and everything. So that's just finished up, and finally it's getting printed. And actually, I think I have something I'll show you. Excuse me for 1 second.
Please show us. Very good. And in the interim, what I would say is that it's always good to engage your friends and family on that logo. What have you got there, Shifa? What do you got?
That's the logo he designed. I don't know.
Oh,
okay.
That's incredible. Jurist Capital, and you've got the four lions' heads on the other side. I love that. You got to get in there. That's awesome.
So the font is wrong. So the font will be a little bit different. So we're getting them retweaked. But yeah, so I've just finished that.
I love that. And what I would say, it's not plagiarism. My old professor used to tell me, Cullen, if you steal from one source, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's called research. So there you go. So I'm sure you went to a multitude of resources to get that one picture. So that's good. And when all goes out the window, use ChatGPT. I'm sure it can create some amazing things too.
Like, taken off, hasn't it? I mean, you had like things like Minecraft and Roblox that was phenomenally swift in taking off during COVID because of the circumstances. People couldn't be out, people couldn't do this, people couldn't do that, kids and adults. And now suddenly in the professional space, it's like that same meteoric rise of ChatGPT. What do you think about it?
Well, it's pretty incredible what it can do. I was at a Jay Shetty show on Monday, which you knew I went to. And he did this wonderful experiment. And obviously his book is about love and self-love and to be loved and to give love out. And he put up individually 30 photos. And he said, who would be a good friend or someone to talk to? And he put up all the photos. You say yes, no. And we all had like either green or red, which we flipped around so you could see the audience, whether they gave it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. So there was 15 people shortlisted. And then there was 7 shortlisted. And then there was 5. And then there was this one gentleman with tan skin, beard, nice jacket, sitting on a park bench. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to bring out this man. And everyone was like, oh. And then he said, but I have to tell you a lie. This man doesn't exist. I actually created him through ChatGPT, and it's all created through AI. And it was an amazing that he was able to take so many likes about a person and put them into the algorithm to create the most likable person, wearing a jacket because he looks professional. Most people sitting on a park bench, it's shown that you like them and you resonate with them because you can have a sit with them. And every time he does it, the AI person he's created always wins. And I find that an incredibly, it's a great commentary on human decision making. If a machine can make us feel that way about a person.
Yes, especially since apparently machines do not have emotions themselves. And
but they can create things from our, like he used the example of every movie that you see about love. They're always facing this way, or they're sitting on a park bench, and the algorithm had taken that knowledge and put it into creating this person. Absolutely phenomenal.
And when you think about the diaspora is the human civilization, and you think about, you can't even encapsulate the multitude of emotions that one human being feels at any given time, that they themselves may not be able to vocalize. And then you get this AI who's clearly analyzed human beings so well. Oh dear. I can understand now why people say it's a bit scary out there.
Look, it's definitely scary. It's new uncharted territory. I don't think we're at Skynet level yet where the machines are taking over, but it's certainly thought-provoking at the very least for some of the things it can do.
I like to think that machines will never completely take over, because we humans in our hubris like to think that we have things like ingenuity and grit and instinct, what we call our gut instinct, and I wonder if that's really what will set us apart. Apart on a level above or a level below, I don't know, but set us apart. I like to think we still have that. Fingers crossed.
No. What does the character say in The Power of One? Little big when little smart. First with the head, then with the heart. I think that is what AI doesn't have, and it doesn't have this. It's got this. It doesn't have this. That's my take on the matter.
The Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, huh?
That's it. Oh, if I only had a heart. There you go. I used to say to Madam, I used to walk the boards, and she goes, yes, you were in Albury Wodonga, so there wasn't much of a talent pool. So yes, you could be on stage in Albury Wodonga. So there you go. Shout out to Madam there. She knows how to make you feel good. But nonetheless, what would you like to see change? Switching gears a little bit, Shifa, what would you like to see change in law?
I was having this discussion, actually. Most of my family is medical or medically related, science people. And I was having this conversation with one of my younger cousins, my daughter's godbrother, actually. He's turned 23 last week. And next year, he's going to be a doctor. So he's in his second last year with Bond University. And another future powerhouse, immense potential, immense intellect, immense EQ, IQ, everything. And I said to him, some of his friends were over from Bond University, and one of them said, oh, my sister wants to be a lawyer. And I said, how old is she? And he said, she's in her second last year, she's 19 or 20, he said, and she's, another year away from finishing up. And I said, what's she doing with law? Usually it's two degrees in one. So what's the other one? And he goes, commerce. And I said, well, what's her major? And she goes, accounting. I said, well, that's much better than law.
Oh, there you go.
Because at this point in time, I said, we're working very hard. We're working very hard. Everyone that I know in law who are influencers or who are experienced lawyers are working very hard to give that support to other colleagues. I've had that support. People have reached out to me, and going back to what I was saying earlier, I don't really like asking for help, but people have reached out. People have said, are you okay? There've been partners of law firms who have been 99.99% of them have been amazing, down to earth. Liam from Gaydon's,
Shout out to Liam.
James, and so many more others from so many other ones, down with his dad jokes and everything. So they're all down to earth, just send them a message and they'll always reply. It's so heartening, Tom as well, Tom Russell. So there's so many people that are good, but we don't have that. I see the medical people, right? I see the medical graduates or soon to be graduates or recent graduates, or even people who are specializing in their fields, registrars, because I have a brother-in-law who's specializing in cancer law in that. And they have this support level. They have this network. There's always groups around them. There's always nurses. There's always, and we have paralegals, I guess. But there's always people there who are guiding them. I won't go so far as to say spoon feeding them, because that's not true. But every little step, and I look at it, and I look at the level of detail, and it's similar to law. So there's no difference to the level of detail we are required to provide to our clients as they are required to provide to their patients. And the level of care and due diligence is also the same. But I think, and the Law Society has a mentorship program, and I went through that mentorship program with Janine de la Saxe for 1 year in family law with her. I did that, and to learn the ropes of family law and everything. And I just think it could be so much more well developed, that kind of program, where you are forced to go in, or not forced, but you are given that option, which is probably mandatory, to go in and work with someone.
You're given a not optional option to do it.
I would love it to be honest, and she's like, past North Sydney. So I was like, I could probably commit, all the way from Camden, 2.5 hour drive each way. I could probably commit to it. But it comes down to, making it mandatory, to have that shadowing, to have that level. We have it for 2 years. And then after that, it's like, okay, you're on your own, which is great because, hey, we have confidence in our law graduates. Great, you've done your 2 years. But I think you need to have that ongoing. Every time you take on a new area of law, every time you take on a new case, you need to have someone there every step of the way, I think. Someone to collaborate with every step of the day. I've worked in Bankstown Hospital for a year as a medical legal officer, and you can just walk into a room, talk to the NUM, which is the nursing unit manager. You can just walk across or give a call upstairs to the specialist suites, and I have, a problem with this thing. I want to come in and have a look. You can call up the coroner's office and instantly you've got that support because you're ringing from a hospital. Whereas I find with law firms, you don't have that instant, we'll drop everything, help you out kind of thing. And I understand it's all about timing. We operate differently. Doctors don't have to fill in timesheets, and stuff like that.
No.
That's a huge gap that is failing to be identified and addressed properly in our profession. So I would like to see more of that active, proactive security net for every lawyer out there.
No, I love that. And what I'm endeared by what you're saying there, Shifa, is that you're not just pointing fingers saying, I want this change. You've actually said, I'd like to see more practices like this, like the mentorship program, and beef it out, make it mandatory. To give the people the support. And I think that you make some real cogent points there. Very well said. And a nice little segue into this. If there is a lesson for young professionals or young lawyers, young doctors, whoever's tuning into the show on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and they're starting their career, they're at the very start, what lesson would you like to impart?
I thought about this, and it all comes down to one word. It comes down to trust. Trust your colleagues. Trust your supervisors, whether you're in banking, whether you're in finance, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a legal professional, any kind of legal professional, whether you are in the credit lending space, investment space, all of these areas I worked in, whether you're an analyst, at a bank or whatever it might be. Trust comes down to it. We had a really, really good, and Katie will probably remember this as well. Katie Koo will remember this, when we were at NAB in our graduate program, and we came from all lives. We had, we had teachers, we had social people, we had people who'd worked in retail coming into this program, being trained to be financial planners, financial advisors. And we did this trust building exercise where we had to sit in a room and tell everyone something that no one else knew about us. And that was very confronting. And it was made easy because the manager then, as well as Nicholas Cunningham, all of these amazing people, Joe, and so many others, were there to support you. And these were our supervisors, our mentors, our coaches, people from out in the banking network who had come in. And it was great. So that trust building thing, I've only ever seen happen there in that setting. But if it happened in every law firm, if it happened with people genuinely wanting to know something apart from, hey, what was the last case you won, that would be awesome, you know. But that starts from me. That starts from us. We have to make that change. You know, I'm going to ring you up, for example, and say, hey, Cullen, did you have a good Easter? Which is what I did. You know,
had a great Easter, and thank you for asking.
You know, or I'll ring up another colleague of mine and say, hey, I did that with, and he hadn't posted around last Christmas or something. He hadn't posted his dad jokes for a while, and I said, hey, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm okay. I've just been bogged down with the end of year stuff, and I haven't put anything up, and there's nothing been good content to put out there. And I said, well, that's great. That's good to know then. See you later. You know?
Yeah, you just want to make sure you're okay. Reaching out. I love that.
You don't have to wait for the are you okay day to just reach out and go. And that, you know, that builds trust. And often you will hesitate because it's a professional environment and you hesitate, but it doesn't, you have to know what you can and can't ask as well, of course. You have to respect boundaries. But, you know, recently, Liam, for example, announced that he's leaving Gaines on to new things. And I just sent him a message going, congratulations. Let us know what the next thing is, and we'll wish you all the best.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. What I'm resonating with what you're saying is, Are You Okay Day shouldn't be just a day. It should be the year. It should be every day. And the littlest things you can say to people have a big impact. You might not think you're having a big impact, but your attitude is infectious and it should be worth catching. And you want to be that. There's an analogy of the candle. A candle doesn't go out when you light other candles. You just spread that light. And that's what you do, Shifa. You spread your light.
Thank you.
And that's why we've been friends since the beginning of LHL.
Actually, I have known you since the beginning of your journey with legal home loans. And I was just blown away when you came all the way home because Bobby was so little. And I said, I can't come out to you. And you came all the way from French's Forest to Camden. And I was just blown away that you had taken, and that was after hours as well, because I was working. And that level of care, that hunger, that passion, tempered with compassion and understanding of your client situation. Because at that time I was a client. This is what, 7-8 years ago. And, you know, and that just blew me away. And I said, you know what? I don't care what Cullen is. I like him as a person, and I'm going to keep it.
Who is this strange man who's rocking up at 6:30 in a 3-piece in a residential suburban street? I did get some looks. I remember that day. It was quite funny.
And I said, I'll drop you if you like. And he said, no, it's okay. I'll wait for a cab. And I was like, oh.
Oh, but these little anecdotes and little vignettes in our lives, I think they look like little events, but they're actually part of a greater patchwork. And I think there's another great book I like, and I know you'll like it. It's The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And it's moments like that we're talking about, Shifa, is that there's no ordinary moments. And you know that with your daughter, and I know that with Benji, that every little moment that I'm sharing at the moment with my wife and my family is just so special. And even doing this now, this is special and this is what matters. And because I'm giving it my full attention, I know I'm in the moment. I can know how special this is.
Thank you.
There you go.
And it is very touching because there are so many people who take time out for your show. You take time out, and you're always encouraging. You're like this bright spark. You know, you come in, you light up our day. But I think I read someone said this about you, and I know this is part of your personal philosophy as well. Leave someone better than what you met them with, and that's just so awesome. And when you actually sit down to think about it, it's not that hard to do. But it also requires mindfulness, and it requires true compassion from the heart, like you said, the mind and the heart. And if people have that true compassion rather than something they've just learned in a social setting, or that they just turn on or off in a social or professional setting, if you have that true integrity in you, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to know a lot of people like that, if you have that, which you do, then you know, the world truly is your oyster. It is.
I agree. And I agree. And Jim Rohn said it best: the things that are easy to do, and this is easy to do, are also easy not to do.
Yes.
And I think that's the big trap, is that because they're easy not to do, they don't get done.
That's right. 100%.
But a nice note to kind of roll into our final question. Quite cathartic, this one. Take a bit of time, if you like. When all is said and done, and you eventually move on from this mortal coil, how would you like to be remembered, Shifa?
I told you I would struggle with this one. I think I'd like to be remembered as someone who was genuine and authentic. You know, if people at my funeral or whatever say she had her faults, or yep, she had a hot temper, or you know, whatever, but they turn around and say she was authentic, she was genuine, she was kind, she was honest, I think I'd be satisfied with that. I probably wouldn't come and haunt you, Cullen.
Oh, well, I'd be happy to be haunted by the genuine, authentic, honest, and kind ghost any day of the week than something from Insidious, let me tell you. My goodness.
Remembered as someone who's genuine, authentic, because
very special.
I've never been bothered about social constructs, you know, and I've never been. It just doesn't register in my head to be a certain way. So anytime you see me, if I'm smiling and happy to see you, then that is true. I really am happy to see you. You know, occasionally I might be at a seminar or at something, you know, where there's a lot of people, and they'll come up to me and say hi, but I may or may not remember the name, and I'll tell them, I'll be like, I'm so sorry. I know your smile, or I know your face because I remember it from this time, but I don't remember your name, which I am really bad with.
I can't place you. That's and people love that, rather than you trying to say, I know who you are and I just can't remember your name. That's a more endearing way to do it.
In other words, I don't mind being made to look like a fool, as long as people know that I'm, you know, I genuinely can't remember their name, for example.
No. Jane Goodall, the world leader in conservation for chimpanzees and all over the world, she has didn't know this, but she has a medical condition that she cannot remember people's faces and names together. So quite often when she goes to these events, and many people who've seen her for years come up to her, there'll be this awkward moment where they'll say, hey, Jane, and she doesn't remember their name. It's nothing personal. She just can't remember their name and link it. I just found that amazing when I found that, because she's so engaging and impressive. But one-on-one, you might be put off because you can't remember the name. I just thought that was quite engaging. So there you go. So good on you for wearing your heart on your sleeve, Shifa. Well done.
And that comes from trust and forgiveness. You know, I will trust you to forgive me if I can't remember something that you think I should remember. It's not because it's not important to the both of us, or it's not because I don't get how you feel about something. It's just human. It's your humanity, and we're not perfect.
We're not perfect. We're not perfect. It's very true. Very true. And a nice note to end our little law live there, Shifa. Where can people find you? Where are you hanging out most if they want to get in contact?
They can contact me on LinkedIn. I also have a Jurist Capital webpage on LinkedIn, which needs to be tweaked. Get Milk, my IT people are looking into that, and they're working up with the logo and everything, and the colors and all that. I also have a website, Jurist Capital, which currently is also under construction. But if you land on that page, you can get in touch with me because it's got my number. Or again, best thing to do is just LinkedIn is probably the best way to get in touch with me because it's got all my details.
Please. So do yourself a favor, get in contact with Shifa now. Don't let it go. It's easy to do. Connect and make sure maybe even put a cheeky personal message in there. And when Shifa connects, do a little voice note as well. You know I love those. Thanks so much for being part of this there, Shifa. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much, Cullen. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone for their time and their attendance. And thank you very, very much, Cullen. I wish you all the best.
Thank you there, Shifa. And we'll bring you back for some bonus questions in a moment. So if you know a legend of law or you'd like to be on the show yourself, feel free to get in touch. We interview a legend every Wednesday on Wednesday, and we then bring it out to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and upload it to wherever you get your podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great Wednesday, everyone, and make it count. Shifa, bringing you back. First bonus question. If you could explain your role in what you do every day to a 6-year-old, how would you explain your role?
Exactly what I do to my daughter. Mama helps people who are in trouble.
That's pretty simple. And that can take on any way, shape, or form, that trouble.
Or I tell her, Mama helps people who have legal questions, and I find legal answers for them.
Oh, very nice. And the quality of your life is the quality of your questions. So there you go. So make sure they ask good questions to you, Shifa. And the last one, if you could go back in time and give yourself advice at any age, what age would you be and what advice would that be?
Have more confidence in your choices. Because as long as the sky is not falling on your head, to borrow from Asterix, it's okay. It's going to be okay. So have more confidence in your choices. And when the going gets tough, stick with it. But don't stick with it too much.
I love that. And what age would you have been when you give this advice?
Late teens, 20s, maybe up to early 30s. No.
That's your younger self calling to say thank you for the advice. You know? Oh, it's been amazing having you on today there, Shifa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Cullen.
Absolute pleasure. Speak soon.